Oh, I love technology. Hello, 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 and welcome to Redefining the Significance of You Time for You, by you, because of you. My name is Denise Drinkwalter, and I am a midlife renewal coach supporting women worldwide to lean into and realize the importance of you. So, this channel aims to provide you, the viewer, with some takeaways that will help you shift, change, reevaluate, and/or become more aware of what is possible. We have a variety of guests sharing their life experiences that have helped them become the incredible human beings that they are today. Every one of us has had that infamous free time sometime in our lives where we frequently have felt guilty, embarrassed, and or just plain wrong for taking out time for ourselves. We are here to change that and support you to see what is possible for you when you take the time for you, by you, because of you. It is such an honor and a privilege to welcome and introduce to our show today Alyssa Brade to our show. Alyssa is a maternal wellness advocate, an award winning author, and an entrepreneur who is dedicated to supporting modern mothers. With two toddler boys of her own, she has experienced firsthand the pressures of mom guilt, burnout, and the challenge of balancing family with career aspirations. Through these experiences, Alyssa has conducted extensive research on maternal wellness, culminating in the publication of her award winning book, Mommy Needs a Minute: From Burnout to Empowerment. Over the past 2 years, she has connected with and impacted hundreds of women globally, offering practical strategies for self care, mental health management, and balancing family with personal goals. Alyssa is now focused on developing an organization that supports women owned businesses and creates career opportunities for stay at home moms. Her work is helping mothers overcome the societal pressure of modern motherhood, making a significant difference in the lives of so many women. So wonderful to have you on our show today. Thank you for coming. I so appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Denise, and thank you for the beautiful introduction. I feel like, oh, who is that you're talking about?
That is you, my dear. You are creating support that is so needed, so needed, and so valuable. Um, Modern motherhood, what does that mean to you? What does that entail?
Oh, I think that's such a deep, multifaceted question. I love it. Modern motherhood, the way I started to realize it, was in candid conversations with my grandmother and how I was discussing some of the challenges that I was having or insecurities that I was having in this new role as a mom. And she often would say to me, "Oh, it wasn't like that back in my day," or "We didn't have the same resources that we had," or "We just didn't have the same knowledge, the same tools." That you had. And it left me feeling, a lot of older women I talked to, left me feeling like I was ungrateful for feeling overwhelmed in motherhood because I had all these resources and tools that they wish they had when they were young moms. Um, and so I started to look at like what exactly is going on in modern motherhood that's leading to so much burnout, and how come modern motherhood is feeling so challenging and overwhelming in different areas of my life.
What ended up coming out of that in terms of those differences? What were some of the
So
key points? Yeah.
that so some of the key points, which I talk about a little bit in my book, is information burnout, the incredible
Mm.
birth of the age of technology. We can't forget about that. And there's so many incredible opinions, so many amazing communities, so much research, and you can find facts and statistics and information to support any viewpoint you take on parenting. Um, and the stakes are high. People who oppose the different view will tell you that if you don't do it this way, Your child will be emotionally
Mm.
damaged. It'll lead to childhood obesity. You'll ruin the relationship with them. They won't be successful. So these stakes are really high. So as a young mom, a lot of women I talk to feel like, well, I need to know it all, and I have all these resources. So of course I should
Oh,
utilize all these resources. And the problem is we get stuck, and then we think the problem must be us because there's so many resources and so many tools. And so me not being able to implement these tools well means that the problem must be me. And we never, or I shouldn't say we never, our first thought usually isn't that this might not be a good fit for me. This might not be a
mm.
good fit for my child. It might be a great fit for your second born or your third born. It might not be a great fit for this season of life, but we often don't think about that. Our first assumption is what's wrong with me. And then we go back into the research cycle and we get burned out and overwhelmed and it repeats.
Wow. Oh my goodness. My heart aches. My heart absolutely aches just listening to the rock that is so big if people are looking at it in that way instead of being able to stand up and say, what do I need and how can I find what it is that I need? Is that something that you support women in trying to figure out what's a good match for them in terms of where they're at and what's going on? How does that work?
Yes, I think one of the biggest things is that we are blessed with a beautiful maternal instinct. When
Mm,
when our babies are being formed inside of us, our cells are literally crossing with theirs. It is a biological, a physical, a chemical process. There are things that you know and sense about your body because your body knows that body. Your body made that body. And a lot of the times we don't take the few breaths. We aren't confident enough in ourselves. We're not um, living authentic versions of ourselves. We
mm,
don't believe that at our core we're worthy. We're not worthy to be a good mom. We're not worthy to be a good partner. We're not worthy to make this decision on our own. So even when our gut or our instinct tells us something, we often silence it and go, I need to make sure that the experts are what their experts are
mm.
telling me is actually the best thing to do. And I think we get stuck, and at a deep, deep root of it, I feel, is not being confident in ourselves, not being confident in our abilities to just sit quietly with our baby and let them cry for a minute or two, or even 10 minutes, if that's what it takes to gather yourself and be like, okay, what do I need? What does my baby need in this moment?
I love that. The power that we have within ourselves when we just take that time, step back, take that breath, and just be, right? You start to do things when you come at it from the angle that our show talks about, when you do things for you, by you, because of you calm the external and you tune into your internal capabilities and stop questioning everything, right? I love
And
that.
yes, and I think that's such a big thing is that it's easy to be swayed either which way if
Oh,
you don't know who you are. Everything sounds good. And everything makes sense because there's a lot of logic behind why people make the choices they do in their parenting. Um, and so I think that that culmination of things can lead to this place of overwhelming guilt versus potentially women who are moms 50 years ago. You had a couple books you could check out from the library. You talked to your pediatrician and you talked to your good group of girlfriends, or the women who in your life who'd gone before you, and there were some opinions and they might conflict a little, but it wasn't this plethora of global advice on a huge scale.
yeah. So what types of things would you say if um, um, I were a new mom or a mom fairly new? Say I've got some toddler at home and I'm starting to feel that something's not right and I'm not sure what to do or the next steps. Is there anything that you would say, do's and don'ts? How do you start that process so that you don't become overwhelmed and you start to do things that will help not only you, but your child if you think something is amiss, let's say?
I think I think to clarify too, it depends on the situation. Obviously, if your
Sure.
child's not breathing or they're having an allergic reaction to
Of
something, then
course.
of
Yeah,
course, go
fair.
for yeah, go do the things you
Yeah,
need to do. But if you're
fair.
having troubles with like establishing a sleep schedule or
Yeah.
knowing whether to swaddle or not swaddle or co-sleep or not co-sleep, I think the biggest thing is you can't make strong decisions based on intuition when you're in fight or flight mode. So often, as new moms, our hormones are going all over the place, and we are biologically wired that when our babies cry, it kicks our adrenaline up. It actually is a biological response in you. So when you feel anxious, when you feel stressed, when you feel like I can't sit still, I cannot let my baby cry it out, this is killing me, it's a biological response of your body being like, we're trying to preserve our next generation and you need to do something here. Um, so I think if you have the ability to have your baby be with somebody safe and who you trust, even if it's, or even just laying them somewhere safe in their crib, and just
Mhm.
taking a few minutes for yourself to try and get out of that fight or flight mode to just breathe. We often don't make great decisions when we're in fight or flight. We panic. We reach for whatever thing is going to fix it right away. So taking those few minutes to breathe, decompress, and evaluate. Okay, let me think through my thoughts right now.
Mhm.
Could the baby be hungry? Well, probably not. I just fed him or her 30
Yep.
minutes ago. Do they have a dirty diaper? No. Okay. Do they just need to be cuddled? Okay, they don't seem to want to be cuddled. And working your way down the list, I know a lot of moms, when they take those, it sounds so simple. It sounds too simple. And I think a lot of times we don't want to apply it because it is too simple. Like that will never work. But taking that time to breathe and be like, I know my baby. You know,
Mhm.
when your baby's cry is a hurt cry, an angry
Yeah.
cry, when they need something.
Yeah.
And just being able to focus in on that for a few minutes. And then if you know that your child is having like gas or something along those lines
Mhm.
that's making them cry, then figuring out the position that works best for them. And it doesn't have to be something from a baby book. It could be my little guy loved long car rides, and that was really soothing and calming for him. And for other kids, they would just scream and cry in the car
Yeah.
the whole time. So
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
think you can never, parenting is hard because
Yeah.
I'm sure just like the coaching you do, there's never a one size fits all. You can't come to me with a situation and say, this is what I need. Give me the pills. I don't have a pill that'll fix it for you.
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. And I love how you preface by saying, look, if there's an emergency, you deal with it as an emergency. Like there's so many levels. And I know the question was so wide open, but I loved your answer because there are ways that you can check in with yourself first. How are you doing for you, by you, because of you? And then take that next step. What does that need to look like, sound like, feel like for both of us, right? I love that. Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
I was going to ask you a little bit about the balancing act. What, how does, what words of wisdom can you share with us around balancing? Because I know that that's something that comes into my coaching world in terms of balancing even my people's thoughts. You know, I go way over here in my thoughts and I know they're not helpful for me, but I can't seem to pull myself back into, I could do it this way or I could do that. That's just an example. But
Yeah.
what types of things do you find around the balancing and how did you decipher how do I find balance? What is balance, right?
I think, oh, that's such a beautiful and deep question. I love it. There could be a whole books, and there
Yeah,
are books written on that. I love it.
absolutely.
If I could try to give a concise answer,
Yeah.
I would say as human beings, we tend to swing to extremes. And so recognizing that within yourself, it's when we start a new business, we want to do everything in the first week and we want it to be successful by week 2 and profitable by week 3. And when it's not, and we have put 90-hour weeks into it, and now our family relationships are suffering and our diet suffering and our health suffering, we're like, Well, I gave it my best shot for 3 weeks and nothing happened. And now everything else is crumbling around me. And we tend to do that even as women who are trying to be mothers. We're like, I am a firm believer. You need things outside of motherhood. Your identity is not just motherhood, it's a piece of
Yeah.
your identity, it's a part of who you are.
Yes.
Do not let it become all of who you are, because you'll lose yourself and your family will lose you in the process. And that's a very tragic
Beautiful.
thing to do. But I would also say it's not about being like, well, I'm going to be this big business tycoon who screw the kids, screw the husband, you're on your own and I'm just doing me. So I think a big part of that balance is recognizing, it sounds not very sexy, but slow and sustainable, small,
Mhm.
imperfect actions that are consistent make huge strides in your life. So, I believe that human beings, you have the ability to really prioritize and prioritize well 3 things in your life. So, write down, what are your 3 things? My 3 things are my boys, my partner, and then for me, it is my business, and working with other women. And so those are my 3 priorities. Out of those 3 priorities, my boys and my husband, they always come first. Um, and if I say that, my actions reflect that, and they need to
Mhm.
reflect that.
Mhm.
And so part of finding balance is I set strict parameters around my business. I highly doubt I'll ever be a huge business tycoon. I don't think I'm going to be a billionaire, and I'm okay with that. I'm not working to achieve those goals. And
Mhm.
I work small and sustainably. And that helps me find a lot of balance in my work life and my family life, because I set small, sustainable goals. And I realize this is a long game, and this is not a get rich quick, instant gratification scheme.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah. And it's interesting as you're speaking, what you started talking about when we first started about the resources and the social media aspects that are out there and all of the external and we tend to, in particular, I know as women, we tend to take on those pressures that I'm going to have it all. I'm going to do the big business. I'm going to be the mom. I'm going to be the thing for everybody so that I can have the success. Where what I love to talk about is success comes from deep within. And when we have our own success with who we are and love ourselves for whom we are, and I love how you shared as well at the beginning, or just now actually, where you shared how being in tune with who you are and taking your 3 nuggets, and I love how you added yourself in that nugget. So there's family, there's the children, the husband, and yourself as the 3 nuggets. It's huge. But making sure that you take that time, because when you are honest with who you are, everything else will flow from that. If you're trying to do it for everybody else and your identity is because you're the mom, when those children grow and move away, you lose yourself. Who am I? I'm a mom, but they're gone, and what's happening? And it's a big change in your life. And so what you're talking about is so important throughout your all years. And I talk a lot with my clients that when was the last time you remember being you? Like you, not the mom, the sister, the daughter, the wife, the right? When's the last time you remember being you? And I think that really helps people put things in perspective. Whoa, I've lost myself. Not really. You've added new identities, but you just get to really wrap it up differently. So you're not doing everything for everybody else. That's that burnout piece, isn't it? Where you give and there's nothing left for you, right?
Yes, and I love that you say that, because I do think in life, and especially as many women I talk to, we're naturally very sacrificial. Well, self-sacrifice, very caring, put everyone's needs above our own. And that tends to be on a biological scale how a lot of
Yeah.
women are wired. It tends to be our MO. And the problem arises when you forget you are the star player. You are the star player of your life, and you look out for the star player, you protect the star player, you take care of the star player. And if you're down, the things around you are not functioning optimally. And
Yeah.
I often think that, just like, I'm sure you've talked about this several times, but the the illusion that self-care is selfish, especially as moms, and that guilt associated with self-care. And really, self-care is the most selfless thing you can do for your family. It's how you can love them the best, by taking care of yourself.
It's so true. And I love that you've tapped into that because when we don't look after ourselves, then we are not going to be the best we can possibly be for everyone else. You have to be the best for you before you can spread that positive energy in the most optimal way possible. And it's like you say, it's in our gene pool, but I believe it's also societal driven about, you know, everything that we get to do by having children and having families, all of the stuff that we get to experience as women is beautiful, but it also adds to our bucket in the end. And how are we going to share in a way that everybody gets to win, including ourselves, right? Yeah.
Yes, and I love that you say that, because I think it's such a powerful thing to learn, or as early as you can in life, that healthy relationship with yourself. I think so many of our problems in business, relationships, parenthood, um, can really be boiled down to your deep sense of worthiness and the choices that you make based on how you feel about yourself. It really is the core of all of the decisions we make, whether conscious or not conscious.
Yeah.
Everything from the parenting method you choose, how you interact with your toddlers in the morning, to the business decisions that you make, to the career choices you make, are all impacted by what you think you're worthy of. I don't know if you've read the book Worthy by Jamie Kern Lima, but
I
she
haven't.
she has a beautiful quote in there that says, "We don't get what we want, we get what we believe we're worthy of." And I think that that resonates on such a deep level with so many women, especially, because oftentimes we believe we don't deserve it. We don't deserve the self care, the kindness. We extend kindness to everybody else and grace to everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why we have this type of a show to show others that this isn't the way that we need to operate our lives and that we are capable of giving back to ourselves. And when we do, everybody wins. Yeah.
Yes, and I think that that's such a so sorry.
No, that's
Yes, in a
okay.
minute, buddy. In
Oh,
a minute, buddy. I'm almost done. I'll be done in a minute. Um,
I love it.
yeah, in about 5 minutes. Um, so yes, sorry, but
That's
yes,
okay.
mom life.
Yeah, that's right.
But anyway, so sorry. What were you saying?
I was just saying how important it is to that we have these types of conversations so that women see that they're not alone, right? They're not alone thinking, ah, I should just be grateful for blah 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 blah, but I really want to do this for me, but I should just be nope, I'm fine. I'll just suck it up and keep doing, right? And we're saying, no, take that time, do things for you, by you, because of you, because when that happens, everything can change. And it does change as you start to give back to yourself. Yeah.
I I love that. Yes, I love that you say that. And I think it ends up being, when we live like, oh, all saying no to ourselves all the time. I feel like we're always living in the future. I'll take care of myself when. I'll do the massage when. I'll go on a walk when. I'll lose weight when. And it always becomes this elusive future. And the problem is, we think that when circumstances change, then it'll
Yeah.
be easier to change ourselves. And the reality is, especially with parenting, every season, the newborn stage is hard. You'll sleep better when. The toddler stage is hard. It'll get easier when. And it goes
Yeah.
on, even all the way up till they're adults. Having in-laws is hard. And I think part of life is that it's hard and it's
Yeah.
beautiful. And if we're waiting for life to get to this magical point where it's easy, we're going to be waiting until the day we die for the things that we are hoping to experience in this life.
Love that. Yeah. Live life now 100% and show others what is possible when you do, right? You're leading the way through the modeling, and it's so, so empowering. Thank you so much for your time, Alyssa. I
Thank
love that your kids are like, Mommy, Mommy, Mommy. I love that. I want to
thank
make sure
you.
that you get time to be with them. I do want to share the book that I do have. It is online in Amazon, For You, By You, Because of You. It's a guided journal for empowered women. And it's to help you start to actually figure out what is important to you. What are your goals? What is it that you really want to ensure that you do for you, by you, because of you? It's weekly and then daily from there. So it gives you a framework. There's no way specifically how to use it. It's just a framework that you can use that helps you put your thoughts into black and white or blue and white on the page, which then helps you action it. I've found that when I write things out, things get accomplished. If I have them here, they don't necessarily become reality, but when I put them down in something, they definitely turn into reality. So thank you again for your time, your message, your love. It's been amazing. I can't wait to read your book. And I know that in our show notes, people can contact you and figure out where to get that beautiful book that you've created. And thank you for spending the time doing your research. I loved hearing what some of the things that you found out in that research that you did. Very powerful. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, thank you for having me, Denise. It was lovely chatting with you. Great conversation.
You too. Take care now, and we will be here next Tuesday. Take care, everyone. Thank you.